his hustle. That's interesting because I'm pretty sure
Yo, why you gotta say some racist stuff? Can you hear me? You talking about the red one? Picks up sub frequencies. Hold on. It's an old recording trick. Nowadays, Yamaha, DW, um, well, Yamaha stopped making theirs. DW has one. There's a couple of companies that actually have sub kicks or sub frequency mics, but it's an old studio trick. If you have, especially like a smaller kick drum, this is a 16-inch kick drum, and um, what it does is, especially with small bass drums, you need all the bass you can get. You need all the punch you can get. And all it is a 6-inch woofer. Anything past 6 inches, if you get like, you're like, oh, how about if I use a 7-inch woofer or an 8-inch woofer? Um, at that point, the only people that can hear it are like, well, the only creatures that can hear it are like whales and dogs because it's just too low. 6 inches is enough to pick up um, just enough of the sub frequencies. And what I did was I put a off and on switch and a volume knob on it, so I can kind of literally dial in the amount of sub frequencies I want. So yeah, it's just you might see, like, if you watch, I don't watch it, but if you do, the Jimmy Kimmel show. No, not Jimmy Kimmel. One of those guys where the Roots. Questlove actually has this kit, and he's got a Yamaha sub kick in the front. Um, you might see in recording and engineering videos, you might see a dude. He'll have just like a bare speaker mushed up against the bass drum head, and that's all it is. It just picks up like a lot of the low frequencies that a regular kick mic hit. You know, a kick mic at most the diaphragm is like that big. You know what I mean? It's like maybe a 2.5 inch diaphragm. Um, so you know, take a speaker and just literally a speaker is literally a microphone is a speaker, and a speaker is a microphone. You know, like you could take a mic and stick it in the output jack and hear stuff out of it. Conversely, you could take a speaker. Um, well, no, you could take a speaker and put it in a mic jack and talk into it. That's why, like the guitarist Steve I, one of his tricks is he would literally talk into his pickups, and you could hear it coming out of the speakers. Um, but you could you could you could you could reverse the polarity on the microphone and put it on like some like stereo out or mono output jack, and you'll hear stuff coming out of the microphone. You could take a speaker and put it in, hook it up to an input jack, and speak into it, and you can hear it coming out of another speaker. So that's all it is. You just reverse the polarity on a, a speaker, and it becomes a microphone. I just housed it in that because I didn't want a janky mic. I mean, a janky speaker, sitting up against it. So, plus it's just easier to mount. You stick it on an old Tom you got. You take a little desktop microphone stand. You just screw it in there. You put a mount on it. You screw it in there. Boom, it's good. So, and anybody can do it. It's not patented. It's just anybody can do it. So it's just a cheap way to make a bass drum sound better. That might be a little too much talking. Dope. You're 9? Okay. Ooh, this is weird. Having this mic in my face, I have to have good posture. No. I'm just gonna vent. I hate the notion of people trolling online. Because if you saw me face to face and you said that, I, as God is my witness, I would smack the molars out of your mouth. That's just real. Like if you can't say it in person, don't say it in somebody's face. I would try to choke you out. I would. I would try to choke you out until your face turned blue. I really wish. I really wish. Because it's just cowardice, man. I can't take it. I can't take cowards. I don't like them. I don't like them. Woosah. Woosah. This sounds better. I had to put tape on it. It was a little too bing. It was like way too much. Prove it. Post a video and tag it. If you say you're better than me, prove it. Not that I'm all that, but like you said it, I don't necessarily think I think I'm kind of average. But if you say you're better than me, then prove it. Hey, I mean, and if you're better, I mean, I don't care. I mean, I can, you know, I'm not, the whole ego thing. Oh, I'm better than you. I don't care. But if that's where you want to go, prove it. You know. I'm an average dude. I'm not, like I said, I'm not in this for competition. So, but prove it. You know. The red thing in front of my kick is a sub frequency microphone. It's an old recording, like an old like studio trick. There's a couple places you can get them. Yamaha stopped making them. Yamaha stopped making them because ain't nobody gonna buy that. They can just get an old speaker, old 6-inch woofer, and do the same thing. And I don't know. I didn't pay anything for that. That's like from an old speaker, like that a friend of mine gave me, and I just, I was like, oh, okay, and I just busted it down. I was like, oh, this is a 6-inch speaker. This will work. But basically, what you do is reverse the polarity on the speaker, which is basically you wire it up, and you stick it into an input. Now, you're probably gonna, well, you probably won't, because I don't have one. But it picks up the sub frequencies that a normal kick mic, a normal bass drum mic can't pick up. And you need all the sub frequencies you can get with this is a 16-inch bass drum. So they're good for like jazz, but just as a regular drum kit, just a regular drum kit. Any other music outside of jazz, it needs a little help in the bass drum area, in a low frequency area. So, what better way? I don't, and even with that, I'm not going to say, I'll say this. I can't play like you better than you can play like you. You know what I mean? So you might see the chops and everything, but it's not like you can't get it. It's not like you can't develop chops. And I can't play like you. So I've gotten to a point where there is no better, So it's just, we're just different. You know what I mean? I try not to focus on who's better, I think there are certain aspects of playing that you might be like, okay, this person's better at such and such, but he still can't play better than me. Just like I can't play your personal style better than you. And it sounds kind of corny and like, oh, it's, everybody's a winner. No, like art is really like that. It's whether you suck or not. And what determines, well, I'm not going to say that. It's whether you suck or not. It's whether you claim to be a guitarist or a bassist, and you walk in there and it's like you're playing like you got 5 thumbs, or whatever. It's just like I learned the hard way, just like not comparing myself to other people, because they can't play me. They can't do me better than. Pause with that. They can't play like me better than I can play like me. So, I've never seen you play, but you play. If you play good enough for you. So, and I can't do that. I can't do better. You know what I mean? Like you know what's in your head, man. You know what I mean? And that's, what I mean. It's about individuality and it's just, what I mean? It's just, and I'm not one of those, again, I'm not one of those everybody gets a participation and everybody's great. No, I think there are musicians who suck. The ones that suck are just, even a chick from the White Stripes, she sucks, but she sucks with conviction. Pause on that. She's horrible, but she plays with conviction. And that trumps any technical ability or lack of technical. She means it. She plays it like she means it. You know what I mean? So if you play like you mean it, it's all that counts, man. If you play like you mean it and you're kind of listening to the audience and you're doing what you're supposed to do, which is basically keep time. All this, that's just extra stuff, man. You don't need that. It's sure it gets the crowd on their feet, but that ain't what people are gonna pay you for. They're gonna pay you for this. You know what, guys? I'm just realizing I think I'm over that the lingering effects of like the whole C19. You can't say it on YouTube, but y'all know what I mean. I think I'm getting over it. This is the first after like maybe a week. This is the first day where I woke up. I didn't feel like trash, nauseous, like I was gonna throw up my entire stomach and intestines, and then I like feel sluggish and trying to get like I'm not even sweating, which is crazy. Um, so I'm like, okay, I'm like, I feel good because it was scary, y'all. It was scary. I talked to a doctor, and he had post C19, and he said it lasted him 18 months until it just went away. Eventually subsided, but it's been like a week, so thank God. Who is Title Flight? Hold on, I'm gonna write that down. Never heard of him. Title Fight? I like when people in the chat kind of when you kind of, hey, have you ever heard of such and such? And I'm like, no. Because in my mind, I'm like, you know what? Let me write that down and check that out. Because usually I find that if people start suggesting stuff, and then, you know what I mean? And if I'm playing drums, they're kind of like, I wonder if he can play this or that. It's probably something, if it's not like something, I'm like, like a lot of times guys ask for like Linkin Park. I know who Linkin Park is, but I just don't play it because when I listen to Linkin Park, I listen to the music. I don't I don't listen to it to learn from it. Like I say, one of my favorite bands is Van Halen. I'm not checking for Alex Van Halen's drum parts. I just love the way they write songs, and I love how they sound as a unit. Or the Beatles. That's one of my favorite bands. I like how they sound as a unit. Um, so you know. But if it's stuff I never heard of, man, I love that, man. I love it. You know, because I mean, I don't know. It's weird. It's a little different. Like the way streaming services are now, you can kind of everybody's kind of listening to stuff in like their own little bubble. So if somebody's listening to something in their bubble, like it's harder to kind of hear what everybody else is listening to because you could just kind of pick and choose to listen to what you want to listen to. So I like that, man. Like I was one guy was like, "Yo, man, why don't you come out with a drum pack?" And they were like, "Why don't you come with a start have a drum pack?" And then I was just telling them like, "Look, man, I'll be honest. You're not the first person. I've had like 9 or 10 people tell me that, and I'm gonna be honest, bro. I'm insecure. Being vulnerable. I'm insecure about my playing. Um, I'm always that's part of the reason why I play the way I play because I'm always like, do I suck? Do I suck? Do I suck? Do I suck? So and that's what I was telling him. I was like, bro, I'm kind of insecure, and a lot of times I don't do stuff because of paralysis from analysis. I overthink it, and then I was just like, well, what do you guys want to hear? And they just started, well, why don't you play this kind of beat and that kind of beat and this kind of beat and that kind of beat? So they gave me some really good ideas for like making sample packs. I'm not gonna sell them. I'll just give them out for free. Um, so, I mean, I'll give them out for free, and then if there's like exclusive stuff, then I might sell that, but it ain't gonna be like $11,000. And if I sell exclusive stuff, I also play bass, guitar, and keys. You know, so I'll probably add that stuff in. It's just like bonus stuff. You know, so you can do what you want. It's not gonna be copyrighted. You could have it. You could slap it up, flip it, rub it down, do whatever, reverse it. You could take it and not even change it and just post it up. I don't care. You know what I mean? So I'm not that, you know, it ain't that deep. Really? Well, cause I started off playing punk. So yeah, I know I'll like it. I started off as a punk drummer, you know, and then I went from like punk to like metal, and then I went from metal to um I don't know. I think I was kind of straddling the fence doing jazz and doing punk. Um and then I just started making beats. And I started doing a lot of production. Then I started doing a lot of engineering. Um and then I moved to down here to Metro Atlanta, and I had a rude awakening. Like I went to the New York music scene, and they're cutthroat. They'll be like, "Man, just play, just give me time, keep time." I could pay a crackhead $20 to keep time. I can get one of those crackheads that playing a spackle buckets for crack money to keep time. Just keep time. And you're like, okay. Well, when I moved down here, it was a, hey, buddy, come on. You want to be in a band? So I'm playing in a church band. And it was literally like the nicest, most friendly, hardcore, Marine level boot camp, musical boot camp I've ever experienced, bro. I'm telling you. There's a reason why gospel drummers are some of like the top guys, because it's like this gospel scene is like boot camp. It's like, you're expected to devour like 40 songs and know them. Well, this is all the songs we're going to play for a month. And you got like 40, 45 songs, and you better know them. And you're going to get audibles. You're going to be on a bandstand, and the band director is going to be like, "Hey, do you know Beyonce? Blah, 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 blah." And it's like, and it'll just like count it off. 1, 2, 3. And you're like, "Oh, Lord." That's all you get. You better know it. You know what I mean? So it's like boot camp, man. You know what I mean? And you gotta come. And the crazy thing about it is, there's more pressure on you because there's like some 12 or 13-year-old kid waiting to take your job. Like it's brutal. You know what I mean? And it's friendly, and they're nice, and they're, you know what I mean? Definite the whole Southern hospitality thing, but it's boot camp. It's I've grown the most since coming down here, just from like playing in a gospel scene. Good morning, Mom. Good morning. Hope you're having a good day. No, I know about math rock. It's nothing compared to jazz. They're completely different. Math rock is just a lot of. I mean, I'm just saying because I've played math rock. It's different. It's completely different. Jazz, you have to play at the level of math rock, but you gotta have a touch. Like you got jazz. The way jazz is now, you gotta know everything, man. Like jazz guys, like the top guys, Matt Garska, he can play jazz, he can play Latin, he can play math rock. He plays with animals as leaders. Um, Ronald Bruner, Justin Brown, Thomas Pritchard, even Aspario, the YouTube guy. Those guys can play anything, not just math rock, anything. So math rock and jazz is not like they can play jazz because they can play everything. But every math rock drummer can't play jazz. They can't. You know, most jazz guys can play math rock because like the whole odd time thing, people were doing that. Like Dave Brubeck came out with odd time in the 60s. So that was already incorporated, weird odd times. It was already incorporated into jazz. So there's kind of like a head start that jazz heads have had for years. So, yeah, I've played math rock, you know. It's different, trust me.
you know. But the thing about rock, I'll say this: most 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 jazz guys, like the average jazz guy, can't play rock. There's a feel that rock has. It's easier to go from jazz to rock than from rock to jazz. Um, but yeah, it's easier to go from jazz to rock than from rock to jazz. Um, it's because if you can develop the feel, rock has less of a feel. Rock is really loose. You know what I mean? That's not much of a feel. This is a feel. You know what I mean? It takes like a really really fine touch to like groove. You know. Oh yeah, no. The timing is definitely um like I know a guy who, well, I don't know him. I hate that. I don't know him. But there's one of my favorite drummers is Marco Miniman. Cause he can play anything. He can play jazz. Marco Miniman. What's the other guy? There's another guy from Austria. Um, his, oh man, I can't remember his name, but um, he can play math rock. I've seen Marco Miniman play everything. I've seen Marco Miniman sit there, watch a TV show, and play the dialogue on drums. As people are talking, he's playing the dialogue. Crazy stuff. Or like Gurgo Borlai, um, he can play anything. He plays with all the top jazz guys, but his own band is a weird mix of math rock and jazz and all. Gurgo Borlai, if you haven't heard of him, he's like insane. You know, this dude is he's scary good. Like he's a beast. Ah,
Guys, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I got to get used to this mic mute stuff. But no, I was saying, um, the timing is it's pretty much it's the same. It's math rock and like jazz. A lot of the timing is like the same. But oh no. But But yeah, there are guys like Marco Miniman, and there's another guy from Austria. I can't remember. Um, he his own music is like it's like out there a mix of math rock, jazz, polka, folk. Like I've seen him do paradiddles with his feet, and then do like double paradiddles with his hand. And then switch. Do double paradiddles with his feet and paradiddles with his hand. And then switch again and do double paradiddles with his left hand and his right foot and paradiddles with his left foot and right hand. And then switch that and do double paradiddles with his left, like all just in one sitting. And he just switches. I saw him do it in an interview. I've seen him watch television and sit there and play the dialogue. Like right there, like and I've seen him do it to where like people have asked him, okay, it's random. It's not like he practiced it. It's random. Like a dude will flip to a channel and he'd be like, I saw a guy do that. The guy who taught me jazz, this dude named Tony Tedesco. He was the smartest guy I ever met and the most weed smokingest guy I'd ever met. I'd never seen it. I mean, you think Snoop Dogg was bad. This dude, and he ended up working for Microsoft. He's retired now, so I can say this. But he ended up working with Microsoft, and we're sitting there smoking. This is years ago when I used to smoke. And I'm like, bro, does your job know you smoke? He's like, yeah, I went to the interview high. I was like, holy smokes. He was like, yeah, I got my own office and everything. Yeah, so. But he would sit there, and I asked him, I said, man, how'd you learn how to improvise? He said, man, I would literally sit there and just watch TV and just play the dialogue, on guitar. That was the first time. And he, no practice, no nothing. But he had done it so long, he was just used to doing it, so. But yeah, I've seen Marco Miniman do that. He's an incredible drummer if you haven't heard of him. Another guy is Gurgle Borlai. He plays with the top jazz guys. But his own personal band is a mix of math rock and jazz and psychedelic. It's just some weird stuff. And all of the guys are just smoking musicians. The guitarist, the bassist, the pianist, they're smoking. Gurgle Borlai, if you've never heard of him, look him up. He will discourage you from, he's so good. You ever see those guys that are so good, you're like, oh, man, what am I doing? What's the point? He's one of those guys.
characters off of moving pictures. Oh, I can play Tom Sawyer. Uh, ah,
Sorry. I'm not used to the mic mute stuff. I gotta get used to it. But as far as covers, I don't know if you've ever heard of Rush. I used to be a total Rush fanatic. I could play YYZ, at least my version. You know, the version we used to do, like we wanted to we used to play it in high school, YYZ. Um, Tom Sawyer, stuff like that. Um, Let me see if I know any Zeppelin. Zeppelin. Um, Let me see. I'll play YYZ. I think that's like the most difficult. I need heavier sticks. that part's kind of redundant. I'll cut to the chase. Um, None of that is in the song. That's all extra stuff. But when I was in high school, we had played that at house parties so many times that we just kind of ended up making it our own. You know. It's called, one was called YYZ, and another song is called Tom Sawyer. They're both on moving pictures. Um, YYZ's on the first side. Tom Sawyer's on the second side, I want to say. That album, Moving Pictures, particularly the song Limelight, that's what that song was a catalyst for me even becoming a drummer. Um, like when I grew up, I used to listen to the Stones, the Beatles, and then later on, like Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Yes, I listened to King Crimson, but I never learned it because it wasn't really. Of course, Hendrix. Of course, Van Halen. Of course, the Police. Um, just so much. I like so much rock. Um, the Stooges, the Sex Pistols, the Clash. Um, just a lot of rock. But at the same time, I was learning a lot of jazz. So when I was playing in like rock bands, I would incorporate a lot of jazz into the rock stuff, and people are like, well, "Where did you learn to play that?" Of course, I didn't tell them. You can't give away your secret sauce. But yeah, I was just pulling all this stuff from jazz and adding it to rock, and like people are like, "Wow." Now, if you were familiar with jazz, you'd be like, "Hey, he ain't playing up but such and such." You know what I mean? But they didn't know it, so hey. Oh, Neil, I had a kit like that. It was like a patchwork, put together a whole bunch of other kit, but I had the I had the double bass drums, the four toms across here. I had the three rototoms. I had another snare over here. I had a remote hi-hat here in addition to a hi-hat. I had all the cymbals and stuff like that. If you think Neil's kit was big, well, Neil's kit really wasn't big. That moving pictures kit was tame. Um, Guys like Billy Cobham, who Neil got a lot of his stuff from, had an insane kit. And his kit was he played open-handed, like he played open-handed. So he had a ride over here, a ride over there. He would have high tom, low tom, high tom, low tom. And then or he would have, it would be set up like a right-handed kit, but he'd have the high tom over here and the low tom over here. Crazy stuff. Or he would have like six toms across here and then toms across here and then gongs over here. Like his kit was ridiculous, and he played all of it. Um, Neil, he started off with the double bass, with the four toms, two floor toms, and then he had the concert toms. And then when after moving pictures, his kit got huge. That's when he had the electric kit, and he literally would have you just turn around, and it was like a kit in the round. I don't know how he get in. I don't know how he got in that kit. He probably had like a little trap door or something like that but his kit was like a circular kit. It was on a platform, and it was like a regular drum set, his regular big 90 gajillion piece drum set, but behind it was like a weird hybrid kit. It was almost like this, except it had like various electric drums in there and stuff like that. So that kit, that's when he got like the biggest kit I'd ever seen. His kit was huge. And he's another one. He played all of it. Neil played all of it. He played every last bit of it. So, like when he started off, he had the basic, this was before rock guys were even really doing that to that extent. It was just really jazz guys. Neil was really the first rock guy to have the full, like, oh, he's got toms over here, he's got this, he's got a gong, he's got that. There were guys, like, you get, like, Ginger Baker, for example, but he just had a double bass. It was like, and jokers were jacking double basses in the 40s, but Neil was the first dude where I saw he actually had a big kit and he actually played it. Like, because it got to a point where guys would just have a big kit and you don't need all that, you just need this. You don't play all that stuff, you know what I mean? But Neil played it all, Sweat in my eye. Ah. Sweat burns. Sweat burns. I'll say this. I switch between light sticks and heavy sticks. Um, this is a great way to gain speed is to play with heavy sticks until you get used to them, and then play with light sticks to get used to them. And the reason why I say that is if you play with heavy sticks, you develop power. If you play with light sticks, you develop speed. But they only develop speed and stick control and dexterity until you get used to them. Then once you get used to them, you go back to heavy sticks. And what the heavy sticks do is they build power. But one of the things you'll notice is that when you play light sticks, it starts to become, it's just hard. It's just, sometimes you need the bounce of a heavy stick, sometimes you need the bounce of a heavy stick. Like right now, I can't play with them toothpicks. You just need that bounce because like a lot of what you want to do is, You don't want to rely so much on muscling through what you got to do. You want to start relying on the bounce. Another way to gain speed is develop finger style, like this. Finger technique, like this. That's this. Your thumb and your pointer finger, they create the fulcrum. The only thing that creates the this is this part of your middle finger. That right there. Look, these other fingers are out. So that's all. That's all like finger technique. You know, no wrist, no wrist at all, just fingers. You know. Um, oh, sorry, I'm listening to this thing, but but oh wow, dope. But but yeah, developing finger technique. Another way to develop speed is just making sure I'm not muted. When you're practicing, practice to a metronome. Don't. I used to be one of these. Don't do that. You'll injure yourself. Relax. Play play at a moderate speed. That's a little fast. Speed comes from muscle memory. Speed doesn't come from working on speed. Speed comes from playing light and quiet. It's for whatever reason, it just does. If you want to play louder and faster and more powerful, play very, very light. Master playing light. Don't even work on playing fast or playing with power. Practice playing light. You can't play loud until you can play quiet. You know what I mean? That's literally just popped in my head. But yeah, because I didn't know. It just works. It's for whatever reason, it just works. And there's a book called Stick Control. Now, this book is old as dirt, but they still make it. Now, I've practiced out of this book, and it says one of the things is practice at all times with relaxed muscles, stop at the slightest feeling of tension. I'll just keep reading. Remember the rhythm is in stick control. Remember the rhythms in stick controls are conditioners. They are designed to give control. Control begins in muscularly relaxed action. Um, then it talks about practicing at slow speeds. and whatever. But I've had that book forever. And I never read that part until years later when I almost blew out my arm because I had bad technique. Then I went back to part of my rehab was I had to kind of work. I had to change my playing. So just randomly, I'm working at it. I pick up the book and I just read it, and I'm like, I had this for all these years, and I could have avoided all that hospital bill stuff and the rehab, and although the company I was working for at the time, the insurance was ridiculous. So I was able to go to a facility where like some of the Falcons went to, or some of the Atlanta Hawks, or back in the day, Atlanta used to have a hockey team called the Atlanta Thrashers, which didn't make sense. It's like you selling ice hockey in the South. That ain't happening. But the facility I went to, like I said, I had really good insurance. I went through rehab. They examined my style. I was experiencing calcification in my connective tissue in my hands, my wrist, and my elbow. So the one guy who was part of the medical team was like a 562,000th degree black belt or whatever. He was a mixed martial arts guy. And he was like, man, he said, what we say in like Kung Fu is a fast muscle is a relaxed muscle. And I was like, wow. And he was like, it's obvious. He said, you have the technique of, he said, you have the damage of a guy who just doesn't know how to punch. Or you just got bad technique. He said, and then for years you kept winning, so you never changed your technique. And now it's coming back to haunt you. I was like, oh. So he had to really, I sat there with a practice pad, and he would just examine he would be like, no, you're too tight. Do this. Don't do that. Do this. You know what I mean? And then part of the rehab, it was like 5 weeks I had to stop. And then after the 5 weeks, we worked on, he examined my stick flow and everything. And he was like, it's no wonder the injury didn't happen sooner. So, I was just like, well, what should I do? He said, do you have any books that you could practice out of? I said, yeah. So I pulled out that book. And I just randomly read it, and I read that one part that I missed. And long story short, the moment I changed my technique and started playing more quiet and more control, when I started playing more quiet, I gained more control, I gained more speed, I gained more power, I was more relaxed. I could play for longer. I could play at higher speeds for longer periods of time without straining to get there. I could just relax and do it. Relax and play like that, pause. But that's what I suggest every drummer do. Relax. Relax, and if you want power, learn to relax. Your playing will help you. Your hands and your arms will help you. They'll thank you. They'll thank you. Another thing is, there are two kinds of movement. There's this movement. There's what I call large. There's large movements. That's what I call it. That's large, basic, simple movements. Now, there's this movement. That's completely different. That's this. I'm not doing this. I'm doing this. So when I need to do this, that's when I go into. That's how loose I'm holding the sticks. They just bounce. They can bounce out of my hand. Now, if I need to do something a little more articulate, point, your fingers are doing all the work. And your arms are just literally, it's like this mic. The sound doesn't come from this. That or that or that. That's the wrist. That's the elbow. That's the shoulder. Sound doesn't come from that. It comes from the mic. You know, and that's how you have to treat like really like rolls like this. You know? But if you notice when I was doing this, my arm was going, this was doing everything. You know what I mean? So there's two forms of movement. A lot of guys don't get past this. You know what I mean? You can just, you know, that's so it's there's two kinds of movement. I think a lot of guys don't really, you know, a lot of guys. Well, I learned that just from really working on finger technique. Then. But sorry guys, I'm like running this through my phone. What in the world? But another thing too is start off getting your singles, doubles, and paradiddles. Try to get your singles, doubles, and paradiddles at the same speed. That way, people don't know what you're doing. They don't know what you're doing. They don't know if it's a paradiddle. They don't know if it's a doubles. They don't know if it's singles. They don't know what you're doing. And that's what you want. That's why I don't even play regular paradiddles. I play inverted paradiddles because you really can't tell the difference between this That's why. So nobody can tell. You can't tell. Nobody can tell if I'm going. You know what I mean? You want them smooth. So no one can tell. Now what I do is if I'm playing doubles, I always start with a single. I start with a single and I end with a single. I go. So you want to make it hard. You want it uniform. And I'll be honest. You want people to be like, what is he doing? Wait. What are you doing? Even like when I play like, if I'm playing, like this is a cool trick. If you close your eyes, you wouldn't know what I was playing. That's now. I've had people like, yo, wait. I've had people see it and like, wait a minute, what are you doing? So it's how you place things, how you phrase things and how you place things. That's what kind of I like to confuse people. I like to keep people on their toes, because like I try to play the way I would like to hear a drummer play in that I want to know, like, wait a minute, what's this guy doing? I don't know what he's doing. And then I'm watching it, I'm like, I still don't know what he's doing. You know what I mean? I like that. You know what I mean? It keeps things interesting. It keeps people engaged, especially, I'll be honest, when you're playing, you got to give something for the drummers. You got to give something for the drummers in the band. I mean, in the crowd. You have to you got to feed the people. Like people for the singers. You're playing. La, 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 la. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, good. He got his fans. Then you got the guitarist. The guitarist has a solo. The bass player, he's kind of sitting back. You know what I mean? But a lot of times, drummers are like this. That's it. Then the drummer, what happens is the drummer goes to the show and they're like, I mean, he's good, but what can he do? And it's not about showing off or anything. It's about, you got to feed the people. You know what I mean? So if you're going, or you can go, when there's a break, something crazy. You know what I mean? And just leave. And just go back to. Every drummer in the audience is going to be like, okay. Wait. What did he just do? And you just. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a wink to the drummers in the audience, like, yeah, I got something for you guys. Your job is to entertain, and that's part of entertaining, Hello, Halo. That's weird. Hello, Halo. That's weird. Yo, I don't know Caravan. Um, I don't know that. I know it. I think I know it. I don't know if it's no. That's Black Satin. Caravan. You're talking about that? That's Sing Sing Sing. I mean, I don't know. That's like, I don't know. It's kind of like, I don't know. I've heard the song, but I don't really. I don't know. I don't know it. Evidently, I need to learn it because you're like the third or fourth person to suggest it. And I was like, As a matter of fact, I'm gonna write that down. I need to learn it. I had to write it down. So, but yeah. I like when you guys suggest stuff because I'm like, that kind of adds to my vocabulary. You know what I mean? Like, oh, okay, well, since people have been asking for it, I'll play it. So it must be good enough for people to, hey, play blah blah blah. If people are suggesting it, it must be good enough. So, hey y'all, I gotta pee like a racehorse. I'll be back, but I gotta pee like a racehorse, and I gotta find out my son is doing because we're gonna go fishing today. Um, we ain't gonna catch nothing. It's like it's not the fishing season, but just to hang out. It doesn't matter. We'll just go fishing. So, although I don't want to, I really don't. I want to keep playing, man. Dang, but I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta pee like a racehorse. All right, y'all. I'll be back in like 40 minutes. Like I'll probably, this. I'll probably be streaming. I'll probably be on. I'll probably be streaming like all day. Um, I'll probably stream like maybe 4 or 5 times today. So